It was a rainy evening in Seattle when I first met Laura and Daniel. I had no idea that meeting them would forever change the way I view the power of perseverance. You see, this couple's journey isn't just one of success, it's a story of grit, sacrifice, and unwavering belief in each other when the world seemed to be against them. The first time I spoke to them, they were sitting at a small cafe, sharing a quiet moment. Their smiles were genuine, their laughter infectious, and yet, if you looked closely, you could see the weight they were carrying. It was the kind of weight that life often places on people who are working to make a dream come true. But what struck me most was how they held each other, physically and emotionally, as if they had been through a storm and had come out the other side stronger. But I didn't know the full extent of their story until they began to open up. Laura and Daniel were both in their early 30s when they decided to take a leap of faith and pursue their dream of owning their own business. They weren't entrepreneurs by trade. In fact, either had ever run a business before. Daniel had been a graphic designer, and Laura had worked as a marketing coordinator. They lived in a modest apartment, paying bills as most people do, trying to make ends meet. They were both incredibly talented and hardworking, but like so many of us, they had dreams that seemed impossible. The problem was that they didn't want just any life, they wanted to make a difference. They wanted to build something that would not only provide for their family, but also make a meaningful impact on the world. They wanted to create a business that aligned with their passions. The idea was simple but powerful. They wanted to open a business focused on sustainable and eco-friendly products. They had grown increasingly frustrated by the lack of truly ethical options available in the marketplace. They believed in the importance of making a positive impact on the environment and people's lives, but there were very few businesses that felt authentic in this regard. They decided to create a brand that would help people make more eco-conscious choices. They wanted to build a business that could provide high-quality, sustainable products while educating and empowering others to be more mindful of their impact on the environment. It was the kind of dream that most people would dismiss as overly ambitious, especially when you consider the obstacles they were facing. They had no experience running a business, no savings to fall back on, and no investors to help them fund their vision. They had only their determination, their belief in each other, and a shared passion for making a difference. In the beginning, things were incredibly tough. They started small, working out of their apartment, and using every available inch of space to house their inventory. Laura would spend her days doing research, creating content, and reaching out to potential suppliers while Daniel designed the website and marketing materials. It was grueling work, but they were in it together. Their first product launch was a disaster. They had spent months sourcing sustainable materials, testing products, and perfecting their offerings. They launched their website with high hopes, only to be met with silence. For weeks, no one bought anything. They received a few inquiries, but nothing that would help them break even, let alone make a profit. The bills piled up. They were forced to cut back on everything. Eating ramen noodles for dinner, canceling subscriptions, and asking family members for help. Still, nothing worked. Their dreams were starting to feel impossible. But giving up was never an option for them. Every night, they would talk about their vision, reminding themselves why they started this in the first place. They would look at each other and say, "We have to keep going. We have to believe that this will work." They didn't let the setbacks stop them. They kept tweaking their marketing strategy, reaching out to influencers in the sustainable living space, and refining their products. Slowly but surely, things started to pick up. They began building a small but dedicated following of customers who shared their values. Word of mouth spread, and their community began to grow. It wasn't an overnight success, but it was steady progress. Laura and Daniel started to get noticed, and that attention helped them secure a deal with a major eco-friendly retailer. The exposure they received from this partnership helped elevate their brand, and before long, they were in the black. But even when things began to improve, they still faced constant hurdles. The pressure was relentless. They struggled to keep up with orders, manage customer expectations, and scale their business. At one point, They nearly lost everything when a major shipment of products was delayed, and they couldn't fulfill orders on time. Customers were upset, and some threatened to leave negative reviews. Laura and Daniel were exhausted, physically, mentally, and emotionally, but they refused to let their dreams slip away. They worked around the clock to make things right. They personally responded to every customer complaint, made sure to fix the mistakes, and even offered discounts to make amends. It was hard, but it was the right thing to do. And slowly, the trust of their customers was restored. Through all the trials, they never wavered in their commitment to each other. Their bond was unbreakable, and it was that strength that carried them through the toughest times. They learned to lean on each other, not just as business partners, but as a couple who were truly in this together. They made sacrifices, compromised, and celebrated small victories as if they were huge milestones. Every win, no matter how small, felt like a monumental achievement. Then came the breakthrough they had been working toward for months. Their brand started to take off. Sales grew rapidly, and their products were now being carried by several major retailers. They reached a point where they had to hire a team to help manage the growing demand. And that's when everything changed. Within a year of starting their business, Laura and Daniel had built $1 million company. But it wasn't just about the money for them. It was about creating something that aligned with their values and making a difference in the world. They had faced obstacles, setbacks, and doubts at every turn, but they had never given up. They did it because they believed in their vision, and most importantly, they believed in each other. When one of them felt discouraged, the other would lift them up. When things felt impossible, they reminded each other that they had come too far to stop now. And every time they thought about quitting, they remembered why they started in the first place: to create something meaningful, to build a legacy, and to prove that with hard work, dedication, and love, anything is possible. Looking back on their journey, Laura and Daniel will tell you that it wasn't easy. There were days when they wondered if it was all worth it. But they also know that every challenge they faced was a lesson that helped them grow, both as entrepreneurs and as partners in life. Their story isn't just about building a successful business, it's about perseverance. It's about never giving up, no matter how many obstacles you face. And it's about the power of believing in yourself and in the person you love, even when the odds are stacked against you. So, if you're ever feeling like giving up on your dreams, remember Laura and Daniel's story. Let it be a reminder that anything is possible if you're willing to fight for it, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. And always believe in yourself and the people who are there to support you, because with determination and love, you can achieve the impossible.